Yes, I am back here on WLTH 1370 AM. I'm Scott Cannon here with you, the listener, on Issues and Answers Friday. And that was Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney, who spoke to NBC News in the wake of her loss and called Donald Trump a very grave threat and a risk to our republic after losing her bid for the Wyoming GOP primary. She declined to say whether she would run for president, but has conceded that it is something that she is thinking about. Now, why is this important? This is important because with Liz Cheney's loss, Republicans who voted to impeach Donald Trump are going extinct. In all, 7 Republican senators and 10 Republican House members backed Trump's impeachment in the days after his supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol as Congress tried to certify President Joe Biden's victories. Just 2 out of those 10 House members have won their primaries this year. After 2 Senate retirements, Lisa Murkowski is the only Senate Republican on this year's ballot who's won her primary. Just Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. That is incredible. We've seen the Republican Party go in this direction for a while now. We've seen this. We've seen that the Republican Party has become more Trump-centric in the past 5 years, but now we are very much living in the glow of MAGA in terms of the Republican Party. Now, I'm not going to do what a lot of people do, as being I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I come on here, I tell you guys I hate both parties, okay? I'm a leftist. I'm a leftist, a left-wing populist. I hate both parties, pox on both parties. But I do think it is monumental that Donald Trump has taken over the party of Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush, because Donald Trump's agenda is that he really doesn't have an agenda. And I've always said that that's one of the scariest things about Donald Trump, was that he is a political chameleon who really is just about himself. That's it. In the world of pro wrestling, they call it going into business for oneself. When you break the script and just do what you want to do against the orders of the establishment or whoever is booking or whoever's in charge. And that's really what Donald Trump has done. The Republicans have had a script since Reagan. Low taxes, deregulation, neoconservative military policy. You know, that's how we ended up in Iraq and Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, Somalia, all these places. That's why we have 900 military bases around the world. That's why we have such a large military-industrial complex, because of the neoliberals. I'm sorry, the neocons. Okay? The neoliberals are the reason that we've closed countless amount of schools, that our bridges have eroded, that the public sector itself has been eroded over the past 40 years, the financialization of the American economy, where we saw jobs shipped overseas, where we see corporations much more responsible to their shareholders, their stockholders, than they are to their employees or to the environment or to the communities that they live in. That's why we live in a world where, like we're in Gary, Indiana, where U.S. still barely pays any taxes. But yet I got to sit here a few blocks away and breathe in whatever the hell they're spewing out and pumping out and drink whatever they're pumping out in Lake Michigan and bathing in it as well. I bet that's great for me. And so you have these low taxes, highly militaristic, pro-corporate wing Republicans, hand in hand with the moral majority Christian right of Jerry Falwell and Pat Robertson And it sort of formed an unholy alliance that kept the Republican Party basically strongly in charge of our political destinies as a society for the past 40 years. You know, pretty much everything bad, you know, from my perspective as somebody on the left, you can trace back to Ronald Reagan's presidency, from the destruction of organized labor in this country after he attacked the air traffic controllers union and fired all the air traffic controllers, to the sending of jobs, all these jobs overseas, again, to the financialization of the American economy where we don't make things anymore and did not for many, many years. Donald Trump broke away from political orthodoxy. And now the Republican agenda is just about Donald Trump. That's it. Do you agree with Donald Trump? Yes or no? That's basically what the Republican Party is at this point. Do you think that the election was stolen from Donald Trump? Or are you willing to lie and say that it was? Or are you not? That's it. That's all the Republican Party is about now. Liz Cheney voted with Donald Trump 92% of the time. Let me reiterate that. Liz Cheney voted with Donald Trump 92% of the time. Okay, contrary to what the liberal media is telling you, Liz Cheney is not a hero. She is not a hero. I could see her winning a Democratic primary at this point because the Democratic Party themselves have become so, has had such a conversion to sort of the Reagan style of politics themselves, you know, with the military industrial complex and the prison industrial complex and selling out to Wall Street and whatnot. But Liz Cheney is not some sort of, you know, moderate conservative she's not an old school. She's not an Eisenhower Republican. She's not even a Nixon Republican. She is a hardcore right-wing conservative. This is a woman who said her own sister, Mary Cheney, does not have a right to get married because she's gay. I mean, now don't get me wrong, it's a free country. I'm pro letting people believe what they believe about homosexuality or the LGBT culture, one way or the other. It's a free country. Let adults be adults in a free country. When they start to infringe upon the rights of children and try to indoctrinate children, I have a problem with that. When they try to tell us we all have to buy into the gender bending nonsense, then I have a problem with that. Because my mom is a woman, my sister's a woman, my grandmother's a woman. I don't have to think Bruce/Caitlyn Jenner is a woman unless I just absolutely want to. Okay? I don't believe I should be forced to agree with that or believe that that is a thing. Okay? But generally, as long as you're not hurting anybody, have at it, champ. It's a free country. Okay? So I never really was anti-gay marriage. I'm pro letting adults be adults. But Liz Cheney actually was against her own sister's marriage, in spite of the fact that, as her sister said, she had spent plenty of time with her and her family having Christmas dinner and Thanksgiving and all these other things, spent a lot of time with her family, but then essentially stabbed her own sister in the back. Remember now, Mary Cheney is the daughter of Dick Cheney, a man who actually stole an election. The Trumpers are sitting around whining about the 2020 election being stolen from them when even Trump's own judges that he appointed said that it's nonsense. Trump's attorney general, Bill Barr, said it's nonsense. Trump's daughter has said it's nonsense. His son-in-law, everybody close to Trump, has said that it's nonsense. He purposely repeated the big lie on purpose because he did not want to admit that he had lost to Joe Biden. Okay, and because Liz Cheney, being from the old wing of the Republican Party, her father's wing that were for stealing elections the quiet way, which is by having the brother of the guy who's running for president essentially prevent votes from being counted that would help his brother's opponent win. That's the right way to steal an election. And so because Liz Cheney is for that style of stealing an election rather than Donald Trump's, let's just have an angry mob try to overthrow the government and force the public and force the and force Congress to certify Donald Trump as president and to reinstate Donald Trump as president, that makes her a hero to some people now, which is insane. Okay, I will always see the Bush administration as the worst presidency in this country's history. Donald Trump, I believe, was too incompetent and lazy and stupid to implement a lot of the stuff that he wanted to implement and could have implemented if he wanted to. But the Bushes, I think we forget how all the horrible things that the Bush administration did. The Iraq War is the worst war crime of the 21st century. The worst war crime of the 21st century. 1 million dead Iraqis. Who did that? That was Liz Cheney's people. That's who did that. Who stole the 2000 election? That was Liz Cheney's people. Who's responsible for the Patriot Act that threw all of our civil liberties out of the window and allowed the government to spy on us, and including what library books we were checking out? That was Liz Cheney's people. She supported all of it. Whose family ran the country so shoddily that the economy collapsed in 2008? That was the Bush and Cheney people. We have never heard Liz come out against any of her father's policies that they ran the country into the ground with. Most of the people who have a problem with Trump hate Trump because he's crass and he's nakedly what the establishment has always been, which is racist, which is sexist, which is lecherous, which is greedy, all of that. Donald Trump is that openly. They're okay with all of that as long as you lie to the public enough where they believe that you're not like that. And that's why they really hate Donald Trump. That's why they've always hated Donald Trump. I'm no fan of him. He's a gangster. I hope he gets all the bad things that are coming to him. But I'm sure as hell not going to act like Mary Cheney is my salvation here. That's for certain. Okay, folks.